So here's a nice observation. I've noticed on the days that I am able to really delve into my practice, my mind calms and I feel an overwhelming sense of peace. Well, that's nice, right? That's a nice thing to flow out of practice. Consider the ways in which how we might feel calm and a sense of peace might, in fact, allow us to more readily practice. I'm taken with the line, on those days when I'm able to really delve into my practice. So what is it that allows us to delve into our practice? And, it should not be lost on any of us that getting a good amount of sleep, eating well and nutritiously, exercising, being in relationships with others that are supportive, and really conducting ourselves in alignment with our truth and our values. These are things that create a steadier state of mind and body that then allow us to engage in the mindfulness practice in a more fruitful way, both in the immediate term, where we might feel calm and at peace, and also for the long game, as we've discussed. Nice. Here's an interesting observation. Mindfulness does not get rid of negative thoughts. Instead, it allows you to create space in your mind to respond to your thoughts in an effective way and not react. And that really wonderfully brings together much of what was found in the readings about responding and reacting, and the really important insight that we're not, through mindfulness practice, endeavoring to get rid of thoughts. And some, of course, we regard as negative or unpleasant. Let's zero in on this second line. Instead, it allows you to create space in your mind. So that's interesting. Are we creating the space? Does the practice allow us to, and being more mindfully aware, create space? Or is there more space? And within that space, might we have the ability to not just respond to your thoughts in an effective way, which of course is wonderful and important, but before that, might there be an important middle layer to notice the thoughts? And then in that noticing, that the space allows to then more skillfully respond to the nature of that thoughtful activity. Very nice. Here's an interesting question. Once you let a thought go, how do you prevent it from reoccurring? So that's really wonderful the way that's framed, and in some ways it allows us to talk a little bit about the weight, right, and the enduring quality that we attribute to thoughts. If it were a butterfly coming our way and we were like, oh, I love that butterfly, and then it flies off, or more apt to this framing, if a mosquito comes our way and we're like, go away, go away, go away, and we get it to scurry off, but it comes back, that would be arguably the same butterfly. That would be the same mosquito. But is it the same thought? This I encourage you to investigate when you practice. When you're practicing and you have a thought, and you become aware of the thought that you're having, and then somehow you let the thought go, right? That's its own conversation, but your attention turns somewhere else. You become more fully aware of your experience such that that thought is not, and how your attention turned to it, that has been released in some way. How do you prevent it from recurring? Does the thought recur? I would suggest that it's more likely that the content that had been carried by that thought, that is now gone. That thought is gone. Try as you like to hold on to a thought. You can't do it. This is my experience, at least. It's never going to return because it's gone. There was a flickering of synaptical activity. The thought emerged, however thoughts do. That, and then as just like a lightning bolt, it hits and it's gone. So what is it that's actually happening? That content, if I understand the question, that content is recurring in another thought, or perhaps carried as part of a feeling, and then taking hold in the body. And so, once you let a thought go, how do you prevent it from recurring? Well, one of the really nice insights noted earlier is that mindfulness does not get rid of negative thoughts. And if we think of the content recurring, mindfulness doesn't stop the content from recurring. But what it does do, it allows us to have a very different relationship to the thought and its content when it initially arises or when it arises. And then if we experience that same content again, to be able to observe and notice and relate to it in a much more effective and skillful way. Sure, it would be nice if some worry that's on our mind, we could dispense with it and it's gone. But in all likelihood, we know that we might be able to dispense with it and get back on task and back on track, and that's really useful. But it's, that content's likely to reappear. So I would say the answer is, once you let a thought go, how do you prevent it from recurring? You don't. The content may very well reoccur, but you can be aware when it does. And that's the game changer.